Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are focusing on something I think a lot of people feel, but maybe can't always put a name to.
Hmm.
It's this experience of growing up between worlds. We're talking about third culture kids or, the first generation immigrant journey.
Right. These are people whose lives are sort of built on these cultural fault lines.
Exactly. They might look and sound like they belong right here,
Yeah.
but their inner world, their family, their sense of duty,
Yeah.
it's all tied to somewhere else entirely.
And, we see a lot of vague talk about feeling different. Our mission today is to get more specific.
More forensic.
Yes, forensic. We're using the source material you sent in to look at the actual observable incidents, the collision points, really. That's where you see the reality of it all.
We've actually managed to distill it down to 7 of these key collision points.
Hmm.
These are moments that just seem to pop up again and again, no matter the cultures involved.
Mm-hmm.
We'll start on the outside with what the world sees, and then work our way in.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it. So for so many people, that first big moment, that realization that you're different, it doesn't happen at some big festival.
No, not at all.
It happens in, like, the most boring, sterile place you can imagine.
Yeah.
The school cafeteria. This is what we're calling the lunchbox moment.
It's classic. And it's often the very first time a child experiences a kind of public judgment on their private life.
Yeah.
So, picture it. A little kid, they're proud of the lunch their mom or dad packed. It
Yeah.
could be anything, a fragrant curry, maybe some spicy kimchi, fresh tamales.
Food that smells like home.
Exactly. It's comfort, it's history, it's love packed in a container.
And then the collision. A classmate leans over and says something. It's probably not even mean, just curious.
Right. What is that smell? Or, ew, that looks weird.
And boom, devastating. In that 1 second, your
yeah.
entire private world, the comfort of your home, is dragged out, put on display, and judged.
Judged as other because it's not a sandwich.
The reaction is so predictable, isn't it? Shame.
Oh, it's immediate. The kid goes home begging, pleading with their parents for normal food.
Give me a Lunchable. Just a plain peanut butter sandwich.
Anything. Anything to be invisible. But what's really fascinating in the sources is what happens next, years later. This whole shame to pride cycle.
Okay, tell us about that cycle, because that feels like the real story here.
Well, it usually kicks in during the late teens or early adulthood.
When you have a bit more distance.
Exactly. You have the confidence to look back and see the pressure for what it was.
Yeah.
And the shame. It flips. It turns into this fierce pride.
And it's not a quiet pride.
Not at all. The sources show the adult often takes that exact same food and makes it a centerpiece of their identity. They might become the family's best cook, or a foodie, or even...
Start a food blog about it.
Right. They are actively rewriting the narrative around the very thing that once caused them so much pain.
That need to blend in, it starts with food, but it goes even deeper, to the most basic thing we have, our name. This brings us to the two names phenomenon.
Yeah, and the catalyst is, again, so simple and public. A teacher, a manager. They're reading a list of names, roll call, and they get to your name, and they just stop. They stumble, they butcher it, and everyone looks at you.
And in that moment, you're singled out again.
Yeah.
Your identity doesn't fit the template.
So the adaptation is quick. It's a survival tactic. You pick an English name.
Yeah.
Or a simple nickname, anything to stop that awkward pause from ever happening again.
And that creates this split persona.
It's exhausting. You have persona A at home, the real name, pronounced correctly, loaded with family history.
And then there's persona B.
Persona B for the outside world, sanitized, flat, easy for others. And the sources are so clear on the cost of this. It's this feeling that your friends, your colleagues, they don't really know you.
Because they only know the easy version of you.
The version that exists with the mask on. It's a constant daily compartmentalization.
And even when you master that, the world still finds a way to remind you that you don't quite belong. Which leads to that question, that dreaded, loaded question.
Oh, yes. The where are you really from? Inquisition.
It's a masterclass in making someone feel like an outsider.
It really is, because it starts so casually. Where are you from? And you answer honestly, I'm from Chicago. I grew up in London.
And they just won't accept it.
No, they push. No, but where are your parents from? Where are you really from?
And that one word, really, that's where the damage is done.
It is, because what it signals, what the source material points out so clearly, is that you will always be seen as a foreigner. It doesn't matter if you're a citizen or what your accent is.
Your face or your last name means your answer isn't good enough.
So you're forced into this role of being a constant history teacher for strangers, You have to explain your lineage, your family's journey, just to satisfy their curiosity.
It's like a cognitive tax you have to pay over and over again.
An invisible one, yeah.
And all this pressure to translate yourself for the outside world. Well, it doesn't just stay outside, does it? It starts to change the dynamics inside the home.
Oh, it completely upends them. It can actually reverse the entire parent-child power structure.
This is the role of the child as the family translator.
It's one of the heaviest burdens, I think.
So you're what, maybe 10 years old?
Right.
And you're the one translating at the doctor's office.
Or at the bank. Or in a parent-teacher conference where you're the one in trouble.
Can you imagine having to translate complex financial terms or, worse, bad medical news to your own parents when you're just a kid?
It's immense. It's being forced to adult way, way too young. And you're doing this incredible balancing act.
How so?
Well, on one hand, you're trying to protect your parent, You're filtering the information, trying to save them from embarrassment over their accent or a mistake.
At the same time...
At the same time, you're a kid, and you're deeply embarrassed yourself.
So this raises a huge question that came up in the sources, this power reversal. Does it create a really deep, unshakable bond? Or does it end up breeding resentment?
That is the core tension. And the answer is, it's both.
Both, at the same time.
Almost always. The sources show that the bond is incredibly deep because you were, partners in survival. You fought this battle together.
But the resentment...
That often comes later. The realization that you lost something. You lost a part of your childhood because you were always on high alert, always responsible.
Responsible for your own success and for your parents' ability to function.
Exactly. And that sense of responsibility, it bleeds right into the teen years and our next collision point. The fundamental clash of values.
This is where it gets really tough, right?
Yeah.
When you start wanting your own life.
It's unavoidable because the world at school and the world at home are running on completely different operating systems.
Do you ask to go to a sleepover or prom, or you want to pick a college that's out of state?
And the conflict just explodes because the Western world you live in is all about individualism.
Follow your dreams, be your own person, move out when you're 18.
Right. But the immigrant household is often built on collectivism. It's about family duty, family reputation.
The question isn't what do you want, it's how does this affect the family?
Why would you leave us? Your choices reflect on all of us.
So when you do try to choose yourself, the result is just this crushing guilt.
Crushing. And parents, often unintentionally, use the ultimate weapon.
The guilt trip.
The guilt trip. And the line that comes up in the sources over and over is, we sacrificed everything to bring you here.
And that sacrifice becomes a debt you feel you can never truly repay.
It absolutely does, and it shapes huge life choices. It's why there's so much pressure to go into these safe careers, doctor, lawyer, engineer.
Because it's a tangible return on their investment.
It's a quantifiable way to repay the sacrifice. Choosing to be an artist or a writer can feel to them like you're throwing it all away, like a betrayal.
That is a heavy, heavy burden. But what if the deepest rejection doesn't even come from the new country? What if it comes from the one place you thought you belonged?
This is maybe the most heartbreaking part of the whole experience, the vacation home alienation.
So the family finally saves up enough money for that big trip home.
To India, Nigeria, Mexico, wherever. And the kid is so excited. They think, finally, I'll be somewhere where everyone looks like me. I'll fit in perfectly.
But that's not what happens.
Not at all. The reality check is brutal. Their own cousins, their relatives, the people on the street, they see the child as a foreigner.
They're the American or the Brit.
They make fun of your accent. They point out that you don't know the local customs. You're not one of them.
And that's the moment. That's the core of the third culture identity, isn't it?
It's the moment of double rejection. I'm not fully accepted in the country where I live, and now I'm being rejected by the country my family came from.
You don't belong fully to either. You're stuck in the space between.
Forever in between.
That feeling of being rootless, it leads directly to our last point, which is something you can actually see and hear. Linguistic code switching.
Mm-hmm. And the perfect example is watching someone answer their phone.
Right. So 1 second, they're with their friends, speaking English, using slang. They're relaxed, maybe a little sarcastic.
Totally integrated. And then the phone rings, it's their mom, and in a split second,
everything changes.
Everything. The language is different, of course, but it's more than that. Their tone of voice changes, the pitch goes up, they sound more respectful, more submissive.
Their whole posture changes.
It does. And there are studies on this. It's not just about words. People report having different personalities in different languages.
Really? Different personalities?
Yeah, because language is tied to cultural scripts, ways of showing respect, of expressing emotion. When you switch to your mother tongue, you're activating a whole different set of cultural rules you learned at home.
Which means you're activating a whole different version of yourself.
A more polite, more dutiful version, often.
So that brings up a really interesting question for you, the listener. Who are you when you speak English versus who are you when you speak your family's language? It's proof that you're literally performing two different selves all day long. So let's pull this all together. What does it all mean? We've walked through these 7 archetypes. The lunchbox, the translator, the 2 names, the inquisition, the vacation home, the value clash, and code switching.
Right.
These aren't just vague feelings. They are concrete, repeatable experiences that define what it means to live between these worlds.
And if you think about it, the common thread through all of this is translation. Constant code switching.
Linguistically,
Culturally.
emotionally, even with your own name. So we have to consider the sheer amount of mental energy that it requires just to get through a normal day.
It's a constant invisible labor.
It is. So the final thought I'd want to leave with you is this. What stands out to you about that daily exhaustion? The exhaustion of having to maintain multiple distinct identities and living a life in perpetual translation.